Hey there guys, gals, and my non-binary pals, how's it going? Rybread here, bringing you a brand new video. This is one of those videos that I was talking about in my previous video, where I'm going to be trying different types of content. This is a compare and contrast review for the TV show and trilogy of novels, The Magicians. I will preface this video saying that it might have spoilers, as I'm going to be talking about the TV show as in depth as I possibly can. But the book series has been out for years. The second season just concluded on air a couple months ago, so honestly, if you're not watching The Magicians, what the hell are you doing with your life? It is a fantastic TV show. And I have read all 3 books. I've watched the first and second seasons, which is all that is currently out. And it is one of my favorite TV shows, one of my favorite worlds. It's like Harry Potter for adults, but with better magic. What more could you want in a TV show? So the first point of discussion that I would like to talk about is the casting of the TV show. For me personally, I don't really think that they could have casted it better. Every actor that they chose for their individual and respective roles fits the role fairly well. And granted, they didn't really give a lot in the way of physical descriptions for the characters in the novels. I think that most of the characters fit whatever description that they're given well also. One of the characters deviated from his physical description a lot though. Penny is described as being fair or pale in the novels, and in the TV show he's an actor of Indian descent. I don't think that deviation really matters much, personally. The actor is great, and that's really all that matters. And he portrays Penny's snark and attitude really, really well. He's very believable as an asshole with a heart of gold. The second point of discussion that I want to talk about is the biggest way the novels suffer. And that is the fact that the reader is a captive audience to the obnoxious and petulant narrative of Quentin for the majority of the novels. Whereas in the show, you get to connect with the other characters quite a bit. And really, I consider these other characters the backbone of the show. Yeah, the show is centered around Quentin, but without these other characters to kind of pad the show, if it was just the Quentin show, it would be a lot more miserable in my opinion. But I also have a stronger opinion against Quentin than most anybody else does, because my opinion was kind of tainted by the novels. And in my opinion, they could kill off Q, and I really wouldn't complain. However, the instant they kill off Elliot, I am rioting. Some of the characters that are on the TV show are changed from the novels. It varies from not very big of a difference to a huge difference. For instance, Margot in the TV show is Janet in the novels. Kind of like a Yara versus Asha change in the Game of Thrones series. But there really isn't that much difference in her actual characterization. She is, however, one of my least favorite characters. She's very controlling and rash, and it makes it very hard to watch some of her scenes. And in the novels, there's a character named Josh who is Elliot's boyfriend, but instead Penny gets a girlfriend named Katie. Not that I'm necessarily complaining, because Katie is gorgeous and she's actually kind of an interesting character to watch. Although I really, really, really hope that Elliot actually gets the love that he deserves. Really, protect him at all costs. He's an amazing character. The TV show also focuses on Penny way more than the books do. And I really think it's nice to see his struggle and kind of humanize him a little bit, because in the books, he just disappears for a little while and then he comes back and he's super pretentious and it's really annoying and it's really hard to enjoy his character. Whereas in the TV show, you get to see his struggle. He gets his hands cut off. Then they're healed, but they're really not, because they're not his hands, and then they get cut off again, and then they're healed, but not really, because he can't do magic. He can't bring people with him when he teleports or travels, and then he joins the Order to get magic back in his hands, and that's just a constant struggle because he's fighting against the end of the world, basically. And for me, the biggest way that the TV show wins out against the books is the fact that you actually get to see the world alive. You get to see all of those fantastical details of Fillory, the beautiful love note that it is to the Chronicles of Narnia. And every one of these details is perfect. For instance, while there isn't a lot of wiggle room for the Netherlands, still the way they portray it is perfect. And Ember and Umber are exactly the way I imagine them. Ember especially, he's a gluttonous agent of chaos, and the way he's shown in the TV show is perfect. And the dragon that Julia and Quentin have to talk to go to the underworld, she's massive and overbearing and terrifying. And that's exactly how I imagined her in the books when I was reading that part. The big difference is that you don't delve a lot into the history of the underworld in the books, whereas in the TV show, it goes into depth about Julia's connection with Persephone and the underworld, and you get a glimpse of that. And in the books, the underworld is just one room where people play like table tennis and stuff, whereas in the TV show, the underworld is a bunch of smaller ecosystems connected by a waiting room where every shade or soul, depending on how you want to consider it, they call them shades in the TV show, but where every shade goes and waits until it's time for their afterlife. And honestly, I love the world so much, and it's so great to see it expanded in the TV show. Because, like the questing beasts, you catch one and they give you a wish or 3 wishes or whatever, and you see basically all of them in the books at one time or another, and you only see one of them in the TV show, but the one that you see, the white lady or the white woman, I don't remember her name 100%, but she's as magical as she's supposed to be, like in the books. The questing creatures are supposed to be talking animals or just beasts in general that are just super ethereal looking and amazing. And, you hear talk of like satyrs and stuff in the books too, and the one satyr that we see in the 2nd season is just beautiful. He's covered in moss, and the actor that they chose to portray him, he's just perfect. He looks human almost, but not quite human. And I've said it a lot, but the TV show is just fantastic. I cannot talk this show up enough. Whereas the books, not awful, not the worst books I've ever read by a long shot, but they're boring. The books don't have the same heart and soul that the TV show does, because you're constantly stuck in Quentin's brain, and I really think the books suffer from that. Anyway, yeah, so that's my review of The Magicians. The TV show's great. The books aren't awful. They brought about the TV show, but it's definitely very clear that they're 2 different pieces of work. And Lev Grossman, if he had chosen a different character to have the books be about, they probably would have been so much better. And I kind of understand one of the bigger differences is that in the TV show, the characters are like 22. They're supposed to be near the end of their college career, whereas in the books, Quentin is kind of dealing with the end of his childhood. He's 17 at the start. So it kind of explains why he's so childish, but it doesn't explain the lack of growth, because he's supposed to be, mid-20s or whatever by the end of the series. And I don't think he actually grows that much. Anyway, that is the end of this. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Bye. Have a good week, guys. Bye.